Hello, listeners and viewers. Good morning once again to our morning sports show. That is a sports breakfast that we have every Saturday morning from 8:30 to 10 a.m. in the morning, live on Sports 101 YouTube channel and also on Tadi FM 99.1. And we are here to serve you with the best of sporting event that went on throughout the week, the Champions League, the Premier League, the basketball, whatever sporting discipline went on through the week. We give you in-depth analysis and discussion, top-notch, to the highest level. And today, too, we are here once again to do a review, a preview, a discussion, a debate, whatever you can call it. So we are here. We are here, and my name is Ebenezer Pesiboni. You can call me Pesiboni, and we are here to have this discussion today. And I will also put out our WhatsApp line because those of us who are listening to us on Tadi FM would want to also send your comments and your reactions to them. So it's a WhatsApp line, and it's also a text line. So if you want to send your discussions, your comments and everything, you can also bring it in. So the number is 0242 145 249. 0242 145 249. And those of our friends in the diaspora, you would just have to add plus 233 to it. So it becomes plus 233 242 145 249. Plus 233 242 145 249. I would want to hear from you in the comment section on our Facebook channel. So whatever your comments are, I'm expecting you to bring it on our YouTube channel, Sports 101 on YouTube. Sports 101 on YouTube. And I will affirm this again. We are also live on Tadi FM 99.1. I'll be joined soon by the rest of our pundits. So we will go on to the first thing, just a review of what went on during the weekend. And as usual, we are starting with basketball. It's still on the playoff. We are in the conference final, both the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. And yesterday, there was a match between the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat at the home of the Boston Celtics, the TD Garden. And the first match went on throughout the course of the week. That was Miami Heat won against the Boston Celtics. So we're expecting that game 2 was going to be a turnaround. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown would come to the party and actually make a difference. But there, the difference wasn't able to come into fruition because Jimmy Butler and his gang actually usurped them and didn't, I wouldn't say it's unthinkable, but they did something great. This is a Miami Heat that we've discussed last week, and they are on the rise. So they actually won the game by 110 to 105. So Celtic lost at their home 105 to 110. We'll come to the second playoff game that actually went on. That's the Western Conference, but this is the Eastern Conference. So now the series is at 2-0 in favor of the Miami Heat. 2-0 in favor of the Miami Heat. And we'll go in depth into it and we'll get to know what actually happened. Now, in this game, you had Jimmy Butler making 27 points. It was actually less to what you had Jason Tatum making 31. So Jason Tatum actually came to the party, but it was more like a one-man show. A one-man show, you didn't really get Jaylen Brown and his cohort to come to his aid. And if you check the quarters, you realize that from the first quarter, the second quarter, the third, and the fourth, you had the Celtics actually winning the first quarter. The second quarter was when you had Miami Heat actually coming to the party and increasing or making the lead by 4, because the first quarter you had the Boston Celtics having 25 to 24, but in the second quarter you had Miami Heat coming to the party and making it 30 to 25. And the third quarter, we thought it was over because you had Boston Celtics coming to the party. So it was more like a roller coaster. They came to the party and actually brought a a 12-point difference. So in actual sense, they reduced it and they actually took the lead. So it actually became an 8-point, sorry, a 6-point, because they came in and they took over. Then the last quarter was when the miracle happened. And in that quarter, you had Miami Heat coming into the party. So this is typical. This is vintage Celtic over the past few seasons. What they've been doing is that they've not been able to hold on to their lead. So they lost actually in the last quarter. And Miami Heat came to the party and actually won the final quarter by 36 points to 22. And that really, really was a big deal. It was really a big deal because winning the first quarter, going down in the second quarter, coming strong in the third quarter, we were expecting them to hold on to their lead, but it wasn't to be so. It was not to be so. And I think this is a summary of what has been happening to the Celtics this season, because even in their semi-final match, in the Eastern Conference Final, they had a similar issue. They had to take the whole game to Game 7 with the Philadelphia 76ers. They had to take it to Game 7 before they were able to win that match. But with this situation, they find themselves 2-0. It is almost an impossible task, because it is not an easy thing for them to be able to overcome a 2-0 deficit. Most of the times, when they find themselves in a 2-0 deficit, they are not able to usurp. They almost always go down. And with Miami Heat, with the firepower that they are actually bringing, so I'll bring you a few stats here. That was between the two mainstays, the Jimmy Butler and Jason Tatum. That is, in rebounds, he actually attempted 25. He was able to be successful with 12. Jason Tatum was able to attempt 20 and was able to get 10 of them. I told you about their points. Jimmy Butler had 27. Jason Tatum actually had 34. And the assist, it was 3 out of 3. Jason Tatum was actually at the party. He came to the party, but it was more like the supporting cast were not really into them. And if you also take their field goals, you realize that the Boston Celtics really attempted so many shots. If you talk about the 3-pointers, they attempted about 34.6 3-pointers, and they were able to do just 28.6. And that of the Miami Heat attempted 45.7, and they were able to make do with 46.8. And if you also check, you compare it with their Game 1. For their Game 1, I already told you that it was the Celtics that actually took the lead. And they taking the lead by 1-2-3 to 1-1-1. With this game and with this 2-0, I actually don't see any miracle happening. I foresee this to be a sweep. Both the Eastern and the Western Conference is going to be a sweep. And I am very, very glad that I am talking about the Western Conference. Actually, I'm actually happy with what is going on in the Western Conference, because I really have a stake in it. I said it here some other time, and I said that I state emphatically that for this series, even before it ended, I see Miami Heat. It might not be the Heat of the 2013 and the 2012 and the Heat of 2006 with Wade and Shaq, or the the Heat of 12 and 13 with Wade and LeBron and Chris Paul. I don't see that though. But this Jimmy Butler's Heat, and with what Kofi spoke about last week, I foresee this Heat team doing the unthinkable. They were in the finals in the bubble. And it's more or less like whatever the teams we had in the final are the teams we have now. It wasn't a fluke, and they are really doing the unthinkable. And I am just going to ask Kofi, is it going to be a sweep?
Well, you said you foresee a sweep, so I don't know what has...
It was actually my thoughts. I don't really know about you.
There will not be a sweep. There will not be a sweep. I mean, I think that if you look at the two teams or the two series, the team that have put itself in a very difficult hole to dig out has to be the Boston Celtics, because the Boston Celtics, let's remember that they were playing at home. They have allowed the Miami Heat to take 2 games away from their home court.
Yeah.
So what this invariably means is that if the Boston Celtics have any plans of getting out to the NBA Finals proper, then it means that they would have to probably go on a charm offensive and then win 3 games actually from the home court of the Miami Heat, and that is very, very difficult. I mean, if you look at the Boston Celtics and how they've gone about this series, I think that in all of the series, the game 1 and game 2, they took comfortable leads in the third quarter, and then they fizzled out. They fizzled out. I mean, I think that Jason Tatum has put on a splendid show, but he's not had enough cover from the supporting cast, and it is the reason why they are in the hole they are. I mean, their coach has come out to say that when it comes to they being able to withstand the pressure at the most crunch moments, they've not been able to deliver. I think that it's a different ball game with the LA Lakers. For people who think that
I was actually coming to it.
Yes, I mean, for people who think that the series between the Denver Nuggets and the LA Lakers is over, you must be kidding me. Because if you look at the game 1, if you look at how game 1 played out, the Denver Nuggets started with so much energy, you understand? And at a point, they were leading by 21 points.
Yeah.
The Lakers kept chipping away, and at a point, it was just 3 points.
Yeah.
Eventually, they ended up losing by 6 points.
Yeah.
Game 2, the Lakers started not so well.
First quarter was even.
Exactly. But you look at the second quarter, Lakers took control. Then
took the
eventually, I think that if you look at those 2 games between the Denver Nuggets and the LA Lakers, it's not been because the Denver Nuggets are superior to the Lakers. No.
Is it a matter of fatigue?
I think the fatigue plays a part. You understand? Because
they start well, and the way they end. Because comparing the two scenarios, if you compare the 2 scenarios, you realize that whenever they are playing with the Denver Nuggets come to the party usually during the 3rd and the 4th quarter. Mm-hmm. The Lakers, we're talking about just the game 2. They started, first quarter was 27-27. Second quarter, Lakers took the lead, actually by 5 difference. But then in the last 2 quarters, that was when Jamal came to the scene, and you had Nikola Jokic also. And one battle we were expecting to actually be a fight for the lives was between AD and Nikola. But it's like after game 2, it's Nikola to AD 0.
No, well, for people who do not know a lot of basketball, it's good that you are listening to this show. And it's good that you get the sort of education that you are about to get on this show. For people who do not know, the Lakers have been in playoff mode for the last 27 plus games, because 21 games to the end of the season, they were in a position not so many people fancied they will make a run in the playoffs. So when you hear terms like locked in basketball, it means invariably having all your focus and channeling all your energy towards that particular playoff. And if you look at back to the conversation that we were having about the Denver Nuggets and the LA Lakers, if you look at the fine details of that particular game, you realize that the Lakers lost because they did not execute some of the things to perfection. I will struggle to find LeBron James missing 3 open dunks that he missed.
He actually missed all his 5 3-point.
Exactly. That's not even been one of the strongest game of points of LeBron's game.
Yes, I was just
LeBron has been an okay shooter, especially from 3-point range. But you realize that in the game they lost by 5 points.
Yeah.
And this was a game that LeBron James missed 3 open dunks.
Yes.
You understand? Ordinarily, you'd expect LeBron James to be making those dunks. And for me, I think that, yes, you talked about the bubble. The Lakers had to beat the Denver Nuggets in the bubble in the Western Conference
Final.
Final.
Just like I can repeat.
But that time, I think that the difference between the Nuggets then and the Nuggets now is that they did not really have a great supporting cast like they have now.
Yeah.
You understand? Now there's the likes of the KCPs, the Kenta Licious, Cadwell Pope, there's Jamal Murray, who had an ACL. I mean, I think that Jamal Murray and his story.
The team.
No, the Jamal Murray and his story in this particular NBA. Jamal Murray, Klay Thompson.
I think we have to look at some
of the people. I mean, had an ACL tear, went out for a whole year, and eventually comes back, and he's one of the. He's a pest.
Yeah,
he's a pest, and he's the reason why the Denver Nuggets won Game 2.
Yeah.
I mean, scoring 23 points in that fourth quarter,
it was.
eventually had 37 points in that particular game. I think that all it takes is for the Lakers to come back home tomorrow night, or this dawn. You understand? Come back home, get one game. The moment you get one game by game. But for me, I think that it's going to be difficult, particularly.
I'm saying this in Thomas Muller's words that from the onset we will let them know that there is no option or there is no need in having a hope. Lakers has never ever won a series down by 2-0 since 2004. That was during the time of Kobe and his cohort. Since then, if they go down by 2-0 in a series in playoff, they are never ever able to. I'm not saying never means that it would never happen. I mean that from that time till now, that is almost 19 years, they have never been able to do that. That is the first thing I want you to tackle. The second thing I want you to tackle is Nikola Jokic. You know that whenever we talked about triple doubles, the person that comes to mind was Russell Westbrook. He had a record of 13 triple doubles in the in playoffs. Now he's been able to usurp him, so he only has Magic Johnson and LeBron ahead of him. Do you see him overtaking these two and becoming the greatest? Because in this playoff alone, he's had 3.
Yeah.
And do you see him becoming the greatest triple-double holder in playoff of all time? So I've given you 2 things. The first one has to do with the superstition on LA Lakers. 2-0, they always capitulate. They are never able to overturn it. So is it that there is something like a Kobe, because I don't see a Kobe in this team, and Nikola Jokic, he being able to make this triple doubles and usurping Russell Westbrook? Do you see him becoming the greatest triple double holder in the playoff series?
Well, people call it stats pad, and people choose to call it other names. It must also be pointed out that the Lakers have not lost a home game all throughout this playoff season, and it goes back even to the playing game.
Okay.
The playing game against the Minnesota Timberwolves. You understand? Yeah. So if you look at the Lakers' record including the playing game, it's 7-0. Yeah. You understand? So, listen, the Denver Nuggets could be coming up against a mighty force tonight. I know that this is not the last we'll see of the Lakers in this particular series. AD will come back, LeBron James will come back.
And lose to Nikola.
Well, I think Nikola Jokic, he's always been a good player. If you look at the history of Nikola Jokic and his coming into the NBA, you know, he was one of those kids who were undrafted.
Yeah.
And so he came into the NBA relatively unknown, under the radar, you understand? And one of the biggest minuses to his game very early in his career had to be his weight and his ability to run up and down the court.
Yeah.
And so people felt like his weight coupled with his height and his stature and his inability to be that athletic was always going to be.
And he was white. It wasn't as if he was black, so that would be like sharks.
Exactly. I mean, so people felt that, this is not a guy for basketball, which is a high endurance game. This is not a guy who is built for this kind of level. But he's been able to go through a series of motions. He's been able to go through a series of workouts. He's been able to trim down his body. And he is super fit now.
He is fit.
If you look at one of the reasons why the Denver Nuggets had to beat the LA Lakers in the 2 series, you'd realize that normally there is a time that their coach takes off Malone,
Yeah.
takes off Jokic and rests him, particularly in the first quarter,
Yeah.
and at the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
You understand? But you realize that in that game too, in that fourth quarter, the opening minutes of the fourth quarter, he chose not to rest Jokic. He put him on.
Yeah.
He put him and allowed Jamal Murray to
Murray
rest.
yeah.
You understand? So those are issues that deal with sports science, and I
Yeah,
think
of
that Jokic is a supreme center.
Yeah.
He is in very good company. You mentioned Magic Johnson. You mentioned AD in another light. You understand? LeBron by trade is a power forward. You understand?
Yeah,
but
so
you look at Jokic. You look at his vision. You look at his ability
He's
to
actually
pick
competing against a point guard and a
exactly,
power forward.
exactly. So I look at all of these other parameters. I think that whatever happens to his career, he'll go down as one of the greats of the NBA.
So why wasn't he drafted in the list of the best 75 players?
Well, I
with him
up
and
until-
Kyrie are two players I still don't understand.
No, but Kyrie was in top 75.
It was
Kyrie-
actually
yes,
it
Kyrie
was actually
in
a
top
tie.
10. Yes.
But then as at the time they were
Yes.
what you call it mentioning the names.
Yes.
They didn't actually add him. So it was later that they got to know that. So they made it actually 76.
Yeah.
So but with Nikola Jokic,
No, but the top 75 are people who actually have put in a lot of work and made a name for themselves. And so for me, if he wasn't in up until that point, I do not fault anybody.
until-
If he yes,
up until then,
that point,
he had just a one
I
MVP, a few
I
All-Star
don't think it
appearances,
should
so-
be a bone of contention at all. I don't think so.
so today's game, Lakers, Denver Nuggets, you see a renaissance.
1-2.
I see a sweep.
1-2.
I see a sweep.
Never will there be a sweep.
I said I see a sweep.
Never will there be a
See,
sweep. And let me tell you something. Even in the Eastern Conference Final, I
There's
don't
a
think
sweep.
that the Miami Heat are going to sweep the Boston
I see two
Celtics.
sweeps.
You see two sweeps.
I
4-0,
see two.
4-0.
4-0, 4-0.
You must be living on another planet. It will not happen, not in this era or the next era.
For me, I already made my predictions even before we had the conference finals. I said I see the finals to be between the Heat and the Denver Nuggets. And I see Jimmy Butler winning the finals MVP between him and Nikola Jokic. But I see him winning the finals MVP. And I never saw a sweep coming. But this time round, that is what I see. I actually see a sweep.
Let me also make my prediction before we go. There will be a final between the LA Lakers and the Miami Heat.
And who wins eventually?
Let's get there.
I think this year's playoffs has been one of the most, should I say, unusual, one of the most bizarre playoffs, and it is one that is so difficult to predict, so difficult to predict. It is giving us everything, especially watching the Celtics and the Miami Heat, the roller coaster. You see the Celtics starting leading, Miami Heat takes over, Celtics leading, and eventually the Heat takes over. And this roller coaster, even with respect to the Lakers and also the Nuggets, you didn't really see the one who is winning. And I think it's really giving us a show worth our money. And I am expecting to see this actually moving on. Now, moving on from basketball, and I'm reaffirming this, that we are live on Tardy FM 99.1 and also on our YouTube channel, Sports 101. Keep the comments coming. Keep the super stickers coming. Those of our friends, the diaspora, we expect you to bring the super stickers in. We expect you to bring them on to support this cause. Now, within the course of the week, we have had interesting, very, very, very interesting things happening. We have the Champions League, we had the league, we've had a whole lot of things. And one of the things I want us to talk about has to deal with La Liga. Now, this is one of the most bizarre La Liga seasons I have ever witnessed. You see, we spoke about the fact that in the past 20, I am bringing it to 20 years, no, not 20, 23 years, from 2000 to 2023, only 3 teams have won the La Liga. Okay, 4 teams. Valencia did it with Benitez, so 4 teams have won La Liga. So, okay, let me make it 20 so that I can really make it. The 3 teams have won it: Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Atletico. And we affirmed this in one of our shows that the only time Atletico comes to the party is when the 2 of them capitulate, 2014, 2021. So understood. But then, there has not been a time like this that we've had a team so criticized as Barcelona. We've talked about them, about how bad they are, especially in Europe. They were actually third to Inter Milan and Bayern. There was a disgraceful home and away with Bayern, and it was so bad that if you take one player, that is Lewandowski, out, probably Barca scored only 2 goals. And apart from that too, they dropped out, came into Europa, and met a so-called weakened United team that, in fact, wiped the floor with Barcelona. But then when they go to the Spanish La Liga, they have actually won the league so far, scoring only 60 goals. Conceded, is it 12 or 13? And the second team, Real Madrid, that supposedly is actually high-flying in the Champions League, having won the Copa del Rey, is trailing by almost 16 points, or about 16 points. They have actually scored more than Barca. Like I told you, Barca has scored 60 goals. Real Madrid has scored way more goals and has conceded about 32 goals to them. So you watch this and you are like, is it that the La Liga is that bad? Or Barca is that good? Or Barca has forgotten their tiki-taka principle and has decided to take a catenaccio that nobody is watching? Because if you score 60 and you concede 13, you are actually fighting against the parking the bus team of Chelsea. We are here criticizing the Chelsea team of 04-05, saying that Mourinho played in 20th, 19th century football to actually win the league, having conceded only 15. But this is a beautiful game, a tiki-taka, a Cruyff Barcelona, having won the league, conceding only 13. The Chelsea team actually had 25 clean sheets. Barca team are on the way of making 25 clean sheets. So is it the case of the Spanish La Liga has lost its relevance? Barca are too good. Barca has forgotten their primary objective as a team and the way they play, and are actually looking at catenaccio type of football, or their strikers are not really firing. I don't really know what is going on. I think maybe you might throw more light on this 2020-2023 La Liga season.
Well, it is a crazy season. It is crazy to see Xavi lead Barcelona to the league title. And I think that you couldn't have put it any better in your synopsis, that watching this Barcelona team, watching all of the things that happens in the La Liga, it defies every sense of logic. It defies every sense of common sense. Because Barcelona are simply not good enough for European standards.
Kofi?
Simply not good enough. Simply not good enough. I struggle to see any league that Barcelona probably would have, any top European league that Barcelona would have placed top 4. I struggle. Which league? Which league?
Kofi?
Maybe you can mention the leagues.
No, I'm coming.
I am saying that maybe you didn't hear what I said.
So
I am struggling to find
Barcelona
any
are
top
so bad
league.
that they are so bad.
I am struggling to find
if
any
I
of
take
the
them
elite
to the
leagues.
German league,
They will not finish in the top 4.
there's RB Leipzig.
They are not better than Leipzig.
Kofi, where did you sleep yesterday? You are trying to tell me a team that has been able to keep over 21 clean sheets.
No, you see,
This is not even Atletico Madrid.
That's where they. No,
This
they,
Real
they-
Madrid.
They have.
You
they-
said Real Madrid is the standard of football. Yet this Barca team is leading them by 16 points.
16 points. Barcelona have only conceded 13 goals. in the
13
La Liga.
goals.
13 goals.
And you are
in the
saying
La Liga.
that Newcastle,
I will-
this United team, and Arsenal are better than
Well, first
Barca.
of all, United met Barcelona.
That is
I
it.
don't want to sound trivial, but over 2 legs, Barcelona could not beat United. That's the point.
Kofi.
That's the point. I mean, that's the point.
So it makes them better.
United met Barcelona over 2 legs. You know why I think that this is a travesty.
Travesty
This
of
is
justice.
an absolute travesty, because see, if you did a point build-up of the points that they were able to gather in Europe, the goals they conceded in Europe against some of the not so good opponents, and then you think that all throughout the season, played 34 games in the La Liga, have conceded only 13 goals. That's a travesty. An absolute travesty.
You should give credit to their defense. In fact, they are on
their
their way.
Where defense when they played in Europe?
Probably their concentration was to win La Liga because they've actually not been relevant in Europe for a while.
I am saying that if you look at the ongoings of the La Liga, it is crazy. It defeats every sense of common sense. If there is a phrase like that, it defeats every purpose of logical reasoning. Listen, I am trying to get the details for you. Barcelona scored 12 goals in the Champions League and conceded 12. They scored 12 goals in the Champions League and conceded 12.
PSG won the 1988. I'm just giving you something.
Hold on. I am just trying to
I want to help you.
I am trying to let us put the figures in proper perspective. Because, and remember, that in the Champions League, they played only 6 games.
Yeah.
So in 6 games, they scored 12 goals, conceded 12 goals.
Yes.
And let's just remember that they were in a group with a particular team. In a group with Victoria Pleasant. Victoria Pleasant. They were in a group with Victoria Pleasant.
They actually won their match against them.
You know how many goals Bayern scored against Victoria Pleasant home and away?
What does that have to do with basketball?
You know how many goals Victoria... I probably want us to take away the goals they scored against Victoria Pleasant. Then you see how dangerously bad they were.
That was in Europe. Our concentration is La Liga.
No, in Europe. In the top
Everybody
tier
knows
European
they've
league.
been rubbish.
No,
for
in the
almost
top
8
tier
years.
in European league, they were not good. Dropped to the Europa League, they were not good enough.
They probably wanted to concentrate on the league and win.
Well, for me, they scored 9 against Victoria Pleasant. Oh God! I mean, if you do the maths, so it means that in the other 4 games against Inter Milan and Bayern Munich, they only scored 3 goals.
So
maybe you're not wrapping your head around what I'm saying.
what I am saying, it's more
I'm
or less
saying
like
that they scored 12 goals,
Uh-huh.
conceded 12.
yeah,
In 34 La Liga games, they have conceded only 13 games.
yeah.
There's something wrong.
There's something wrong with what? Is it La Liga?
There's something wrong somewhere in that La Liga.
What is wrong? Is it that? That is why I posed the question.
That's a Barcelona team that is so rubbish defensively in Europe. Cannot be this good domestically.
So are you trying to say that the La Liga attackers are bad, or the Barca defense is just good in La Liga?
No, you cannot tell me that the Barca defense is good in because all of a sudden Aro and all those other boys cannot change overnight.
But they are setting a record that was set by
become
John Terry. Let me tell you the back line of Chelsea that set that record. We are talking about Ricardo Carvalho, John Terry. Ashiko was not there then, so there was Wayne Bridge. Wayne Bridge was there, and we also have Belarus. Look at this back line. So there was either Belarus or William Gallas coming into the back line.
playing the right fullback.
Now, look at this defense, conceding 15. And you are talking about the Kunde you have, the Kunde you have been criticizing. And Oscar Christensen.
No, they've conceded 13 goals.
And I'm
Scored
saying,
64.
yes, and as I said, as at the moment.
Yeah.
So they have Christensen,
Uh-huh.
Kunde.
Uh-huh.
They switch between, what do you call it, Balde and Balde and Alba. And their right back is between Sergio Roberto and Kunde. This is the back line. So can you affirm that this back line is better than the back line of Chelsea? That is Terry, Carvalho, Wayne Bridge, and William Gallas. I'll be here, and I will say that they are better than the Chelsea defense.
Well, I think you're comparing apples and peaches. You're comparing apples and peaches.
What is apples and peaches?
First of
we
all,
are talking about two
cannot
different.
compare the state of this La Liga to the state of the EPL back then when that Chelsea team played.
So what are you trying to say?
Who are the strikers in this La Liga?
There's-
Last time I checked,
no,
there was a guy
let me
from
just keep
Cadiz.
the-
There was a guy from Cadiz. My friends tell me he's a part-time plumber. scoring 4 goals. You understand? No. Who are the attackers in this La Liga?
There is
Who?
Karim Benzema.
Oh, come on.
Kofi.
Yes, only Karim Benzema.
I am mentioning them. There is Karim Benzema. There is
Morata.
Kofi. Yusuf El Nesiri. I'm mentioning the attackers, Kofi. There is Yusuf El Nesiri.
Come on.
There is Vinicius Junior. The attackers, I'm giving them to you.
Come on.
There is Eric Lamela.
Come on.
Kofi.
Well, credits to Barcelona.
Antoine Griezmann.
Oh, come on. I mean, credits to Barcelona for winning the league, but this is a poor La Liga. And for me, I cannot simply explain this phenomenon. I do not know how Barcelona were able to win the league being this rubbish. It tells you of the. I mean, I've told you time without number on this show that Real Madrid is bigger than the La Liga. We all know the focus of Real Madrid this season was not on the La Liga, because if Real Madrid really had set their minds and their hearts on winning the La Liga, it wouldn't even be up for discussion, because this Barcelona team is poor. It's so out of quality. And so for me, that they have been able to win the league with 85 points, scored 64, conceded 13. That is absolutely preposterous. I mean, that a team so bereft of quality, a team that is ill-coached, a team that lacks tactical direction, like this Barcelona team, are able to dominate in this manner in the La Liga. There is something wrong with the La Liga. And I think that people need to start looking at, they need to start questioning the credibility of the La Liga, because I am saying this Barcelona team will not make any of the top 4 in any of the top elite European leagues. They will not make top 4 in England. They will not make top 4 in Italy. Not at anybody's expense. They will not make even the top 4 in Germany. This team can win the La Liga. I mean, come on. I mean, Judgment Day is coming. And for me, I think that the more I look at this Barcelona team, I see that is what probably puts them in some particular stratosphere, to think that all is well. You understand? They think that all is well with Xavi and this team because they won the La Liga. I mean, listen, we are here talking about Arsenal and they capitulating against the City team. We are here talking about Manchester United. We are here talking about Liverpool. You see, this Barcelona team will not even finish ahead of Liverpool, let alone talk about Newcastle. You understand? But for me, Barcelona still has a lot of work to do. Even though they have won the La Liga, they are whatever, they are flying high. I think that it was simply a bad La Liga season. Let's cancel the season. Let's put it on the back burner. And at the end of the day, let's plan effectively towards next season, because this La Liga and this Barcelona winning it defies every sense of common reasoning.
I'm reading the comment before that. I would just want to have my take on it. Now, Kofi has really put up some facts and figures here, which I would not entirely disagree with him. For me, I think that, you see, they are playing a system that I think most of these pundits are hypocrites with their assertions and the things they say. When I started, I intentionally compared it with the Mourinho team of 04-05. If you remember, Mourinho has made it say, either Mourinho or Ferguson, that defense wins you league titles. Yeah. And when he said this, well, how would defense win you titles? And then you have to, it will make it. If you watch Barcelona, if you take Lewandowski out, you will be surprised who is the second top scorer. When Xavi started the league, he did not really have a forward line that was constant. There was Lewandowski, yes, but Rafinha had been bought. Dembele, Rafinha, who plays on the left, who plays on the right, because Rafinha likes to cut in. But this is a Dembele who also likes to play number 7. Ansu Fati had just returned from injury, he had to play. Even with the midfield, is it Busquets, is it Gavi, Is it Pedri? Is it Frank Kessié? Even the attack, we also had Ferran Torres and his lines coming in. Was Aubameyang supposed to leave? Was he supposed to stay? Was Memphis supposed to leave? Was he supposed to stay? So there were lots of rifts around it. But one place that he was sure had to be his back line. He had a formidable defender. He had just brought in Christensen. There was Araujo, who was a mainstay. Between Baldi and Alba, he could alternate between them. There was also my good friend Marcos Alonso. He was also there. So in the beginning, Madrid and Atletico had issues. Let me start with that of Madrid. Madrid, you realize that every season on the back line of winning the Champions League, either they capitulate, that is, they are not able to concentrate on them, because when they league a win this season, Madrid hardly wins a league back-to-back. I can start from 2004. They won the league in 2004. Barca came to win 05 and 06. They came to win 07. Then there was 08. Barca 09, 10, 11. They won 12 and they left it for Barca 13. Then you had Atletico coming 14. You had Barca coming 15, 16. Then 17, Madrid came to win. Then they relaxed again. 18, 19, 20. That was a COVID time. They didn't won again. Then they relaxed. 21, Atletico came. Then 22. So Madrid is not your team that you can bet on to win the league back to back. They don't do that. So coming into this season, it is something that happens to them. With Atletico, they had issues. They had to let João Felix go. They had to let the likes of between Griezmann, Morata, who start. There were issues. They had to let some players go. They were in the back line that Elcho had to leave because he had been there for a very long time. He was not really putting a lot into it. Sevilla and Valencia that was supposed to give a hat, and Sevilla was almost going on relegation. They had changed coaches twice. They started with Lopetegui, he was gone. Sampaoli came in, he was gone. Now they brought in a coach who was sacked by Alaves and he's doing the wonders. Valencia, they have issues with Peter Lim. You don't know what is happening. So Sadat are perennial and achievers. They are middle table. So who is actually challenging? So Barca was the only team. And we know Ancelotti is not a league coach. He doesn't win league titles. For all of the time at AC Milan, winning 2 Champions League titles, going to the final 3 times, he won one league title. Coming into Madrid, he had even never won a league title before. And I think it was a record he wanted to make. The only coach to win a league in all the 5, leagues. And I think after winning that, what else is there to win? So I think that Barca had a chance, an opportunity, just like Arsenal had. Because the other teams had to put things together. You were the only team that had to just make a few additions, because at least he took the team from last season. And he has something to it. With Europe, it was inevitable. It was inevitable capitulation that was staring in their faces. There was no way they were going to progress. Apart from the fact that they were no good, there was history that was against them. Because the last time that Inter found themselves, or an Italian team found themselves in Group C, they won the Champions League. You know me, I like these things.
Hey.
We will come to that later.
Hey.
The last time an Italian team found themselves in Group C,
hey,
they actually won.
Inter were in Group C.
Inter were in Group C.
Hey.
They actually even qualified. They qualify with the team that they find themselves in. There are a lot of issues happening. In fact, the last time that you had an Italian team going to the finals of the Cup Winners' Cup, which is now a conference league, the Champions League, and the Europa, we had 1990, 89-90, and we have 93-94. 89-90, AC Milan went to the final. They won. Juventus went to the final and they won. It was the third one. That was the one that they lost. But in 93-94, they went to the final and met Barcelona and disciplined them. And that team had Guardiola and Tikri Bekistan.
Hey! Okay.
Tikri Bekistan is now
the sporting director.
So the two of them have met again.
Okay.
So we'll leave that for tomorrow.
Leave that for tomorrow.
So this is just a bite of the things you have to see. So I think for this, there are a few things. You see, people are just thinking that City will trash, but I tell you, this Champions League is a shrine. Champions League is a shrine. And if you don't go with the required sacrifices...
You make me excited. I mean, you make me super excited.
So,
super
God willing,
excited.
tomorrow, we'll talk about these things. So,
shrine.
It's a shrine. So, with this La Liga, it's the same thing for Ancelotti. He never wins leagues back-to-back, so it was inevitable. So, it was never going to happen. So, with this season, Barca had a chance. But I hate it when people rubbish defensive football. And those who rubbish it are Barcelona fans. They should understand that tiki-taka will not win them anything. Xavi, the midfield generalissimo, who actually orchestrates the tiki-taka, has abandoned it. He has abandoned his ship. He's gone for a new tactic. He realized that he has to bring in those who break the bones, Kessie and the rest, to just destroy things. His back line does not play from the back. You watch Barca. It is not like Arrow passes to Busquets to this. It is all of us. You watch some of their game. It is boom to Lewandowski and there's a goal. That is what they play. And I don't want to condemn it because it is a style that has won them the league. So for me, I will sit here and say that Barca team or this Barca team that has won this league are one of the most defensive teams in the world. It is not an irony. They are one of the most defensive teams we've ever seen in football. Nobody should sit here with all the plethora of attackers. They are able to score 60. And they are able to defend and concede only 13. I applaud them. They are one of the most defensive teams. And they should take credit for it.
Are they moving away from their principles?
I just told you that Guardiola himself,
No, because
who was even, he was a student. He has even abandoned it in City.
Well, for me, I am amazed because we will talk about Pep Guardiola very soon. We will talk about Pep Guardiola because I am amazed because Xavi, together with Iniesta, were at the center of everything.
And the comment he made about defensive,
yes, they were at the center of everything that transformation that happened at Barcelona.
Yeah.
With Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
In fact, started with Rijkaard, and then the remnants were taken over by Pep Guardiola and then took them to another height. That Xavi is now a coach and decides to throw away all of those principles. Wow. Are Barcelona a confused entity?
That is my next question.
So
the La Masia that you preach, the Cruyff football.
So what are they preaching at the La Masia now?
So when are they now coming to play?
So the kids who are watching this Barcelona team,
I think we are making too many rhetoric. I think we have to put it to
No. The kids who are watching this Barcelona team play, what are they learning from being at the La Masia?
That now when 10, you have to 10. I think that is what you would have to learn because you see, Barcelona
so
never
should throw away all the principles.
It's not about throwing away. In fact, the proponent, the man who actually was a student and a graduate, a PhD holder in it, has even thrown it away.
So the La Masia and
even Guardiola himself has now brought a center forward, all balls to him.
Hey,
we now don't do no. It's now all balls to Haaland.
We will talk about all of these issues.
So the thing is that kudos to Barca, but they should never put it in their mind that this is a very great leap. This is not a great leap.
No, you see,
this is a league won at the expense of one team that is not prepared and one team that had lost interest in it. These are the only two contenders.
Well, so let me also say this. Kudos to Barcelona, but stop riding the moral high horse. Stop riding the moral high horse. Stop trying to make everybody look like you are the guys who play the most defined, most attractive, most comprehensive type of soccer. Look at what you just did with the La Liga. Look at the style that Xavi is subjecting you guys to. Why is nobody calling him to order?
But he's won the league.
So winning supersedes style. Okay, for a while, Barcelona did not let us believe in those theories. That for them, style was everything. Winning would only come as a result of the style.
That was what now was
they
actually
are putting winning ahead because now they are employing the principles of Jose Mourinho. So it's winning before style. So style doesn't matter any longer. It's about the wings. Anyway, I think that you probably have to read some of the comments.
I think let me take some of the comments. So I said you can also send your comments via WhatsApp or by text 0242145249 0242145249. Diaspora, those of our guys there, you had 2 + 2 3 3 2, so +233 242 145 249 +233 242 145 249. And the super stickers, we are really counting on you to actually send them to support the cause. Now, PK Justice, our ardent listener, and I'm also reiterating that we are live on Tardy FM 99.1 and also on our That's if you are listening to us on Tardy FM. You want to see whatever is happening in the studios, you log on to Facebook, you subscribe to our channel, Sport 101. Sport 101 on YouTube. Now, PK Justice says that good morning to you all watching live from Takwa. Good morning to you all watching live from Takwa. Good morning to you too. Kweku Bakon says, I'm back like cornrow. How is cornrow?
I don't know cornrow.
There's a dangling modifier. I don't even understand what I'm saying. Now, Blessing Abrukwa. Oh, why? Barcelona are disgrace. They just won the league. What is this disgrace in winning the league? They had to turn their ways. Even the Bible says that it is only a fool who does not change his mind. So I think they had to change their mind to realize they can't do a lot with the attackers they have. Blessing Abrukwa says that it tells you how poor the league is. Wow. Sevilla just went to the Europa League final and they are still poor. Wow. They actually almost went on relegation, but they are beating Juventus and the big weights. And Mohamed Ibrahim, over football. It means RIP football to whatever Barcelona is doing. Mohamed Ibrahim says that, Percy, I want to know and understand B-ball. Anytime you guys are explaining, it sounds alien to me, and it takes me to no man's land. You guys really know B-ball. My question is, would you choose B-ball? I don't know if he's trying to say that.
Well, to Mohammed, right? That's
Mohammed Ibrahim.
Yes, to Mohammed Ibrahim. I think that, guys, I mean, if you're watching Sports 101, we are hoping and listening to Sports 101 on Tardy 99.1 FM. Very soon, we'll come up with a super partnership with Tardy 99.1 FM. We'll probably dedicate 2 radio shows to the listeners. You understand? Yeah. So we'll have an all-radio program to the listeners, and
lots of education.
Yes, we are working on those fine details. We will educate you not just on basketball, on tennis, on golf, on all of the lesser known sports. Yeah. Because listen, knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
You understand? And I think that we have come to that point where it is less of the shouting, it is more of the knowledge, it is more of the education. So, Mohammed, you are in safe hands. I mean, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Very, very soon, we are going to do that mainstream, and we are going to shake a lot of foundations.
So you heard from my boss, we'll be doing a lot of education. Most of the words are alien. Don't worry. I know you are an open-minded person and you are very teachable. We'll make it as simple for you. Joshua Shan says that how Barcelona won the league and were so poor is weird. It's just like how the pyramid was built. Because one brick is almost like 1,000,000 tons. And it was human beings who built it.
Yeah.
It's a wonder of the world. I think we have to add it to make it the 8th. So, PK Justice, Barcelona can finish in this best power play. Please, let me sit well and read this question. Barcelona can finish in this best power Premier League. So what is Kobe saying? He should give us a break. You are trying to say that Barcelona would usurp Adriana Stars
at the top of this.
At the top of the table. I think, Lucky, wherever you are, someone is saying that Adriana Stars might usurp Barcelona. So this is a lot to take in. Piqué just says, what has Barca done to you? Barca are not fearful anymore. They are just like Newcastle. Newcastle is fearful. What are you saying?
Barcelona are not fearful. I agree.
And he's saying I should add Chukwueze as one of the most potent attackers in the La Liga.
It just tells you the state of the La Liga.
Because even Danjuma, who was even
a brilliant player on one day, terrible player on another day. He is the definition of inconsistency.
And I was even telling him that Chukwueze was even the mainstay. The mainstay was Danjuma. He came to Tottenham and he's even on the bench.
Yeah.
He's on the bench. The last one is Dominic Duke, who says Barcelona, and he put, is it laughing or crying emojis? I think so. I would have to move on. And like I said, there were so many topics to talk about during the course of the week, and there is also this one thing that is circling. You know that City are on the brink of being only the 5th team to win a treble. Okay, let's because it's a sextuple, we can add.
How do you say on the brink?
I mean, based on where they are headed, the league is up for grasp. But for me, the FA Cup, I don't care what happens. But with the Champions League,
Now the FA Cup,
I don't even want to talk about FA Cup. Let's even say they've won it.
I'm pretty sure Ten Hag is smiling.
But me, the things I know about Champions League,
I'm sure Ten Hag is
the
smiling.
odds and the things against. And yesterday I went to church and an astute man of God told me that, gentlemen, they would be crying in Manchester.
Hey.
Yes, that was what the man of God told me.
But
And
we have to start questioning your credibility.
that was what he said. I was not even thinking about what God is saying. I was talking about
No,
the
let's
principle.
leave God out of this equation. We have to start questioning your credibility.
Because me, I believe
Because
these things.
you've made a couple of predictions that have gone south.
But for this, this one is some way. You know, I was very emphatic about Inter Milan and AC
But he
Milan.
said they will be crying in Manchester.
That was what he said.
an astute man of God.
An astute man of God. He was
Okay,
saying that.
I mean, this is not
I
a
actually
religious program.
It's not a religious
It's a
program.
sports, it remains a sports show, and we are live on YouTube, and we are live on Tardy 99.1
And it was
FM.
so City, okay, they are on their way, not like they're on their
Yeah,
brink.
okay.
They have the chance. Premier
To
League is
win,
up for
yes.
grabs because of Arsenal's profligacy, and we've talked about that. They have an FA Cup final with Manchester United, and they have a Champions League final with Inter Milan. And if they go on to win, they join the likes of Celtic in 1967.
yeah.
They join the likes of
Manchester United.
what do you call it? Ajax. I even want to come in that chronological order. We have Ajax in the 70s, 73. 73, that is with Cruyff. And you also have PSV in 1988, Barcelona in 2009, and you also have Bayern Munich in 2013. And
Inter.
Barca again, Inter Milan in 2010, Barca again in 15, and Bayern again in 2020. And Manchester United in 1999.
You couldn't have finished the equation with
I couldn't have finished
99.
that. But in the British Isle, only two teams have done it. Celtic
Celtic
were the
and
first
Manchester United.
in 67, and Manchester United did it again. So
99.
Manchester is the first in England to win that. And our good friend again, James Carragher.
Jamie.
James.
Jamie.
Jamie.
It's better off being called Jamie.
Okay.
Jamie
Okay.
Carragher.
Okay, maybe he wants to make it nice.
Fantastic defender.
He said that if they, that is the day, means that it is a pronoun for Manchester City, win the treble, this will be the best season we've ever seen from any team in this country. And I don't know if the country, he's really adding Celtics to it. So let me make it, okay, if they call themselves a country,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
actually mean the
England.
England.
Yeah.
If it is the kingdom or
Yes,
the whole
it's kingdom,
entirety.
yeah.
So let's put Celtics aside. Let's play the devil's advocate. Celtic is not part. So it is a straight bullet at Manchester United that this is going to be the best ever. Before you come in, I want to throw some things to you so that you can work with a start. First of all, I'm taking the United. United won the 98-99 at the back of Arsenal winning 97-98. Arsenal were by far the most dominant team. That was Arsene Wenger's first season. With the likes of, I'm mentioning the players available, there was Dennis Bergkamp, there was Ian Rush, there was Tony Adams,
The captain.
there was Freddie Ljungberg, there was Patrick Vieira. That was the Arsenal. United won this treble. These were the teams they beat to win. They had to beat Arsenal, that's Arsenal, in a two-legged tie, semi-final.
At the semi-final.
At the semi-final.
That wonder Ryan Giggs goal.
And they
Go
had
back
to,
and watch that
and
Ryan
they
Giggs
also had
goal.
to beat Newcastle. That Newcastle is not this Newcastle. That Newcastle
Sebo
of
Bielsa.
Les Ferdinand. That Newcastle of what do you call it? My good friend Alan Shearer. That Newcastle of Stan Collymore and his likes. That was the Newcastle that can almost win the league. United won against them, and they also went to the Champions League final against Bayern Munich. We were also on the brink of a treble.
Treble.
Of a treble.
And the Bayern Munich team had
There was Giovanni Elber,
FM
Effenberg. There was Sergio. There was Oliver Kahn.
Oh God.
There was, what do you call it? Byzantium Lizarazu.
Oh man.
This was the Bayern Munich They were arguably the best team. See, because that team
That
went.
Bayern was the best team in the world.
They went
that
two
Manchester
straight
United
seasons.
Even-
2 seasons later, they actually won the Champions
even
League.
in that Champions League final, United were hugely the underdogs. That
So
Bayern team was on another stratosphere.
I don't want to say like I have a stand. I just want to say this to you. Now, United won
Now,
that league.
what is
The United also won that league title.
against Arsenal?
He said that it would be the best.
Why?
The best season for any team in the country.
No, let me take it from here. Let me take it
We
from
will
here
let me
because
continue.
we don't have a lot of time.
Okay,
It's
let me
9:32.
leave
Let
you.
me just take it from here.
Take it over.
City will win this league.
They have
because-
won.
City will win this league because Arsenal are incompetent.
Everybody is rubbish.
City will win this league because Arsenal are hugely incompetent. It's not because City were overly class.
Okay.
It's because Arsenal have Arteta. They have weak leaders within their ranks. Odegaard, Saka, Gabriel. What's the name of that guy? Shaka. Your good friend, Thomas Partey.
My good friend is actually Leandro Trossard.
Trossard, add him to the mix. City are going to win this league not because they were class above anyone.
250 days
because
on top of the league.
Arsenal just simply self-capitulated.
Internal bleeding.
If City were this good, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. We wouldn't be having this conversation about the league running into whatever it is. I mean, whatever it is, you understand. If this Arsenal team were anywhere close to that Liverpool team that gave City a lot of hell, winning some of the league trophies they won, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We wouldn't even be talking about the treble. So when you go out there and people paint the narrative that, oh, okay, this City team, I like the phrase you use, they are on the brink of winning the treble. I look back and say, hello, guys. Pause and let's take a cursory look at the events that have happened this season. Domestically in the EPL, this City team is not really class above anybody. You understand? With all of the purchases that they made, he had to take an Arsenal self-capitulating. And I dare say that I've told people that Arsenal still could have lost those games against City and comfortably won the league.
Yeah.
Arsenal would have could have lost those games at the Etihad and comfortably lost the league. Arsenal lost the league because they drew against Southampton.
Drew against Liverpool, leading 2-0.
You understand? They drew
West Ham.
against West Ham. Those were the terms on which Arsenal would lose the league eventually. So let's not paint the picture that, oh, okay, City went on some trail and blah, blah, blah. I've heard those narratives. Yes, it's good for the fairy tales, you understand? It's good for the storybooks. But the truth of the matter is that if City, and when they do win this league, it is because of the incompetencies of Arsenal. It's because Arsenal could not hold the fort when they were in a strong position. 250 plus days on top of the league, and they could not still bring the trophy home. So that's the first bone of contention. So for Carragher to say that this would have been the best season by any team on the land, I think that Carragher, he's fast losing his credibility and his sound judgment. I do not want to say this, but I'll say it. His hate for Manchester United and anything Manchester United and Alex Ferguson is driving him to bonkers. This is a rubbish statement. It is a rubbish statement because, listen, I mean, who was there to compete against in the league? You have mentioned all the teams that you mentioned in the 99 era.
Yeah.
You understand?
There was prime Newcastle.
Who was there to compete
There was
against
prime
in this
Arsenal.
league?
United actually did what City had just done, but theirs was it was all Arsenal. Arsenal was leading. United had to literally come from behind and win the league. And like I said, consistently the league was so tough that you had Newcastle was a force to reckon with. You had Arsenal who were a force to reckon with. Chelsea were actually up more of FA Cup FA Cup.
They were
stamp.
a cup team.
Yeah, they were a cup team. United actually won the league with 79 points. City already have usurped. They scored less goals than this. For me, especially with the league, if you say that a team has had the best season, it is not necessarily what they win, but how they win it. I was reading an article that a certain journalist wrote that it doesn't matter City even winning this. It can never. It is just like saying that even after Messi winning this World Cup, there is no way
You can call him
the
greatest.
Argentines would choose Maradona. Because one, the way he did it and the time he did it, I told you he did it during a war between England and Argentina. They couldn't beat the English during the war.
Yeah.
That is on the war front.
But they beat
So
them
the
on the
only
pitch.
thing that could give them salvation,
Was on the pitch
and he did it in grand style.
against the English.
And with this one too, in the league, Arsenal had just taken over after Ferguson had won the league several occasions. The manner in which they won the league, listen, who and won the semi-final between Arsenal and United, FA
The
Cup.
FA Cup.
United had virtually lost the treble.
Yeah.
A last-minute penalty by Dennis Beckham,
Yeah.
arguably the best number 10 in the world as a them. Probably people didn't know him. Before then, he had been second in Ballon d'Or or
Yeah.
third in Ballon d'Or
Yeah.
with Inter Milan.
Yeah.
And the way Schmeichel saved the ball and it went on a run-off, it was so dramatic.
And then Giggs scoring.
And
that-
Giggs scoring one
that
of the
goal.
greatest goal
The-
in football.
in fact, the greatest FA Cup goal ever.
And one of the greatest goal in football. See, there was so much drama about the whole thing. Going into the finals with Roy Keane having a red card.
Oh, I remember that Roy King game.
He
with
had a red card.
Juventus in that
Nicky Butt,
semi-final.
who had never
Yeah.
been a mainstay,
Yeah.
coming in.
Yeah.
And going against Bayern that they could not beat in
Yeah.
the group stages.
Yeah.
Now, what is the case of City? Whom did City play in the semi-final?
Real Madrid.
Even with respect to the FA Cup, was it not Brighton? Whom did they play? Is it Brighton?
Yeah. No, it wasn't Brighton. It was one of those.
It was
lower
one
tier
of those teams.
Lower tier teams.
But I just told you
United
that-
had to play against Brighton.
But
Yeah.
I've just told you that.
City have had an easy path to the FA Cup final.
And with the Champions League, of course, they met Real Madrid. Real Madrid, no doubt. And they are going to the final against Inter Milan,
Milan.
who has never been relevant. But that one is a different case. I have my own reservations. This City team is a team with so many controversies. Before this season, they were not even supposed to even play in Champions League, which we were all aware of. So you see, apart from the controversies with FFP, that they had breached stuff from 2008 all the way to 2016, that now it's been put under the carpet. Some people will talk about the fact, oh, and Ferguson spent. Ferguson did not spend. If you take the, what do you call it, the quantity or the amount, you do inflation, 98. And this time, the only player that he bought in 98 that to augment the squad was Dwight York. Dwight York was the biggest player that you could think of he buying. And even he came from Aston Villa. Of course, he had won the Golden Boot. But he was not a superstar like Haaland came with. He came into the league to complement. He didn't even come as a starter because it was Teddy Sheringham.
Yeah, there was Sheringham,
So it was
there was-
Sheringham and
there was
actually
Sheringham,
Andy
Andy
Cole
Cole.
who were playing.
Yeah.
But after one game that things changed, Sheringham had to retreat to the bench.
And you know, Sheringham and Dwight York never were on good terms.
They were not on good terms because he had to.
They were not friends.
That was
basically.
it. So City won. They are winning the league with so many backlash. How many FFPs have they not breached? I am not talking.
Why
I'm surprised.
Why should that be against them?
I'm surprised.
You can only beat what is put in front of you. Why
So
should
I
that
am
be a
surprised.
negative
Carragher
against
himself is there talking. He was the same person that said, "Oh, okay, we can talk about the fact that they've spent so much, but you can't really say that because of the spending." Listen,
them? But this is the same Carragher who told us that signing Haaland will not do anything to City.
if we take he the character and discuss him, we will realize that there are so many discrepancies and so many irregularities with what he said. So many things that don't
But he
match
said
up.
that, City getting Haaland adds nothing to them.
So we should put he the personality aside and just take what he said and probably discuss. Else we would rubbish what he said. So City have done well, but you realize that this is a treble that has been bought with money.
Everybody spends.
It's not what everybody spent.
Fergie spent.
Listen, let me mention the trebles. Celtic that time, money was not really in football. Let's forget about the Ajax. Ajax was an academy they brought up. The PSV was an academy they brought up. Since that time, they've not been relevant in Europe again. Mm-hmm. The United team.
Let me
how many of academy players were not even in it?
I agree.
How many academy players are in this team?
Let me fast forward to Pep Guardiola's Barcelona.
Pep Guardiola's Barcelona.
And then Luis Enrique's Barcelona.
Now these two teams.
Can you tell me?
Suarez was bought for 88 million.
Exactly. How much was Neymar bought again?
Neymar, we don't know how much Neymar was bought. It started from 50. It was 60. 90. We even got to know that the father took 20 million with some strippers. That one alone, we don't even want to talk about it. There was Rakitic that was bought.
Exactly. So that team was very expensive.
Expensive.
So why could you not have said that team got the treble?
I am saying that if that one bought the treble, how many players am I back? I'm talking about the treble. I'm talking about Suarez.
If they should win the treble.
Suarez. Neymar was bought in 2013. Mm-hmm. So let's even say, okay, in 2 years he won the treble. Fine. So we can add Neymar to it and Rakitic. The three of them combined is not 300 million. Now let's talk about City's backline. Let's start from the back. Akanji, Stones, Laporte, Walker. What's the name of that guy crying?
But why do you want to go back? Why do you go
I'm
back
coming.
to 5
Benjamin,
years?
no, okay.
5 years, 6 years?
No, but it is a project based on them. The Sheikhs took this guy because they want the Champions League to be won. If it was the league, they could have brought Ole. Because two people have won the league. They brought you. So it is an accumulated amount of money spent geared towards winning the Champions League.
Well, I think that's a fair point.
So I will start from Mendy in prison all the way to the last centre back in Akanji. That is over 500 million. That is how much they want to buy. There's a team that is about to be bought 600 million. They are about to buy a full team for 600 million.
So that is the defense minus the goalkeepers.
I've not talked about goalkeepers. He bought the first goalkeeper over 30 million. Said the goalkeeper is not good. Brought another one for 60 million. So the goalkeepers alone is almost 100 million. I don't want to talk about attack. Bernardo Silva. Kevin De Bruyne also already bought. Take him aside. Bernardo Silva. There's 100 million Jack Grealish. There is a Mahrez bought almost 50 million. There's as at now. Next season you will hear things. The amount that was paid for Haaland wasn't the one declared. Haaland, one of these days, I think we have to expose that. Why do you think Bayern pulled the plugs? They asked Oliver Kahn that, will you go for Haaland? And it was like, they stretched their budget to the limit. This is Bayern Munich, who can buy or pay the buyout clause for Lucas Hernandez 80 million. They have stretched it. Haaland is one of the most highest or the highest paid players in the world, probably even close to Mbappe. But they've already only stated this, that they are just paying him. Haaland is taking money.
More than 500 million pounds.
No,
500,000.
More than 500,000
pounds a week.
And the amount they said is 60 million. That is another day. So there's Haaland, there is Grealish. That season alone, there's Grealish, Haaland, Silva, Mahrez, and the defense. So he has spent almost, in fact, it's over $1 billion.
No, he spent over $1 billion.
How can you spend over $1 billion for one treble and say that winning the treble is better than a team that won the treble with about 5 academy players as starting? There was Giggs. There was the Neville Brothers. There was Scholes. There was Beckham. There was Bat. 6 academy players have been able to enter and play the treble final. I told you of Ajax played the treble final.
Playing the devil's advocate, Roy Keane was bought for huge amount of money. You understand? He was a key cog in that team. I mean, you can talk about somebody like Dwight York being a key cog, even Andy Cole. You understand? And
Andy Cole.
I think, yes, because people build teams on different principles. I mean, listen. I am not the best defender of Pep Guardiola, but then you can make that case for him that there are other teams who have spent that much and have not won a lot of trouble.
None of them has spent $1 billion. Please. If you say they spend that much and you are saying, oh, they spent 200, 300, I'm talking about one coach. The whole PSD project has spent a lot. None of their coaches has spent even 400 million. I'm talking about one person who has been given the luxury to spend. When he was beaten by Monaco, he spent. Leon, they spent and spent and spent just so that they will be able to arrive at this junction.
But they've been there before.
They've been there before, and when they
were
couldn't
there-
win, they
were
went back
there
and they
with
spent.
Chelsea and Tuchel.
And they spent again.
Let me ask you this simple
Ask me.
question. What happens to Pep Guardiola's legacy should he fail to win this Champions League? And and I'll probably want to hinge on what the man of God told you, that there will be gnashing of
Yeah,
teeth.
that was
You
what he said.
understand? I mean, that's just by the way. But what happens to his legacy if they fail not to grasp this Champions League?
I think Pep's legacy as a coach and what he's done will remain intact.
His legacy
No,
with
yes,
City.
not with City.
With City.
With City,
Yes.
he will still be their greatest coach ever. With the number of titles he's racked up for them, he's taken them to the first final, the second final. He's been consistent, of course. But when we bring the circles of comparing him to the greatest, he will fall down the ladder.
Who would you consider the greatest?
He
in this
can never
conversation?
match up to what Jose Mourinho has done.
Why?
Guardiola in the final here, you have to multiply it by 4 to reach what Mourinho has done with Roma.
Why? Choices.
Choices. Mourinho has never won a Champions League with a budget more than 100 million.
Choices.
It's not choices. This is a man who doesn't need to spend to get the work done. People are like, he spent, and he's also spent a
Because
billion.
I've
No, but
spent-
the guy started coaching about almost 10 years before Guardiola came to the
I get
scene.
the point you're making, but I've also heard people say that, oh, okay, Mourinho can easily take this City team to the Champions League final.
Take them to the final.
Yes.
Mourinho will win back to back. No, listen. Mourinho has never taken a team, gotten the players he wants, and never delivered. Never.
Did he not get the players he wanted at Manchester United?
How many players did he want?
Was he not the guy who Manchester United had to break the bank to sign Paul Pogba? Was he not the guy who Manchester United had to break the bank to sign all of those luxurious players that they
How
had
many
for him?
listen. I don't want us to. How many luxurious players?
Why did he not
is it a
reach
35
those
years?
heights with Manchester United?
He did.
Why did he not? No, he
He
won only
reached-
the
he-
Europa League with
he-
Manchester United.
When was the last time United was relevant in Europe before he came?
United the standard of Europa level.
United had dropped into the Europa standard.
Why did he not take
He
them
made
back?
them relevant.
Why did he not take them back to the Champions
You-
League?
he won the
And the
highest number of points
epicenter-
any coach has won post Ferguson. Even Ferguson himself won the treble with 79 points. He came into a dilapidated United team. Ferguson left a weakening, sinking, stinking team. He knew the United he left was not good. Mourinho came to the scene. You had brought in, my good friend, Luis van Gaal. Giggs had done his bit. He comes to the scene. You are like, who are the luxurious players? He brought in an Ibrahimovic who was 35 years old, who was in the twilight of it. In fact, he was past his prime.
But he brought in Pogba. He brought in Lindelof.
Who was
were
Lindelof?
Those were players he
Who is
requested.
Mkhitaryan? Mkhitaryan was an okay player from
No,
Dortmund.
but that is the player he recommended.
Listen, take these players and compare them to what Guardiola is bringing in. Can you compare the profile that Ibra brought in to that of what Haaland brought? Can you compare that of Mkhitaryan to that of Grealish? Okay, you can talk of course. Mkhitaryan came in as a very good assist maker, but with Grealish, they took a captain of Aston Villa in.
But you
Take
also
that
took
of De
the
Bruyne.
captain of Armenia. In Mkhitaryan. Take the captain of Armenia.
Kofi, listen. Mourinho never takes your money. He came in to make United relevant. He did it. He gave United.
How relevant.
He made
He did
United.
not win the best trophies with
He
Manchester.
made United a champion
He
of
did
Europe.
not- he did not
He
win
won
the
trophies.
best-
No,
he
listen,
did not
listen,
win
listen,
the best
listen.
trophies with
The
Manchester
stage,
United.
the stage United was in before he came. It was only good that when he came, he played the Champions League back to back.
He won the UEFA Cup and then won one Carling Cup.
Yes,
That's all.
and he lost in an FA Cup final.
Exactly. And
And he was second in the league, which he doesn't even
Ole
want to
Gunnar
talk
Solskjaer
about.
was second in the league.
And what did he win?
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer played finals.
And what did he win?
He was inexperienced enough.
He was inexperienced.
Yes.
Mourinho was an
Ole Gunnar
inexperienced.
Solskjaer played in the UEFA League final.
And Mourinho was an inexperienced coach when he was at Porto. He started with Benfica. He was sacked because there was turmoil. He moved to Lidelia and he moved to Porto as an inexperienced rookie.
But so you
And he took the likes of Deco and managed to win.
So you think that if he fails to win the Champions League with City,
He dares not compare himself to Mourinho.
With the
We don't have to bring the two of them. He might win his titles, fine. But all of these great coaches we talk about, they spend fine. Ancelotti spends fine. Zidane spends fine. Ferguson spends fine. But they don't need to spend to win. There are sometimes they do with what they have.
Never respected Zidane on this show.
No, I've never said I don't respect Zidane on this show.
But in 2.5 years at Madrid, Zidane did everything that Pep yearns to do in 7 years at City.
Of
but
course.
Yet you have never respected him.
Listen, for me, the reason why I would put
Zidane won everything there is to win with Madrid, the greatest club, the best team to coach, the team with the highest pressure of coaching at Madrid. But yes, you people never
will you put
respect him.
Vicente Del Bosque ahead of Mourinho, or will you put him ahead of Pep Guardiola?
I don't see where this question is
I'm
coming
asking
from.
because he is the only person to win everything there is. You are talking about someone who has won everything in club football.
I am saying that I don't see where this question
He
is
has
coming
won everything there is in football. He's won the Continental Cup, that's Euros. He's won the World Cup, Champions League, Copa del Rey, what have you. He's won every single thing. So why don't you rather rate him ahead of all of these coaches? Listen, if Guardiola fails to win this Champions League, they should never pride himself that he's done well by taking City to the semi-final or the final. Because with what has been made available to him, there is no coach in this world who would have this luxury. Everything has been done. He wanted Haaland. Haaland has been provided him. He has the luxury of about 6 central defenders, 6 quality central defenders. Diaz, Akanji, Laporte. You have Stones, and even you have Kawaka, who can even play as a centre back. All of these have been made available to him. You take a midfield, a plethora of them. Sometimes I even forget Mahrez plays for them. There's Bernardo Silva, there is Kevin De Bruyne, there's Ike Gundogan, there is Rodri, there is Phil Foden. Of course, he didn't buy him. If you take the attack, you have Haaland, you have Jack Grealish, Mahrez can equally play the attack. So everything has been made available to him. So for me, his legacy as a coach remains untainted. He has won, so now he has won 4 titles already. This will be his 5th title. He has the Champions League final to go to. Now, if he's able to go to the final and win, it will be a very good win. But it will never and ever usurp because one, they were the first to do it. They did it with very little budget. They did it in an era where competition was high. We always say that Liverpool has brought a lot of the contribution, a lot of competition into the league. But yes, still, out of the 5 competitions that they've put up with City, they've won 1. So what is that competition? So for me, what I actually think or know and believe, first of all, the treble is not coming off. I sit here and say it. They will win 1. It will be a solo, not even a duet. It's a solo. And the solo is the one they got from Arsenal. But with the FA Cup,
They are not winning the treble.
United has stopped 2 records from continuing. One of them is the Van Nistelrooy penalty that stopped the 49-game winning run of Arsenal.
Yeah.
And the second one is, this is the thing they pride. There are 2 things United pride: the 20 league titles and the treble. The 20 league titles, in fact, the United almost bettered the second the greatest record in the league. That is 4 straight titles. It was done by Liverpool. United almost won it in 2010. And Gerrard gave the ball to Drogba. That was the Liverpool-Chelsea game. Then Chelsea was able to win the league in 2010. So United could have also won the league 4 times continuous. But all they have is the 20 league titles, which they are now in the threat by Liverpool, and the treble winning season. So for me, United would, because United City now is not a foregone conclusion, because United had proven to City, and the last time that United also met City in the cup final, one of the cup finals was in the Carabao Cup is it 2009, 2010, when Rooney did the job against Tevez. Since then, it's been semi-final, semi-final, semi-final. So I foresee United usurping. And with the Champions League, when we meet tomorrow, I will drop all of those things. I have told you, we have the Croatian superstition, we have the Italian final superstition, we have the Guardiola himself superstition, he himself and Tiki Bekistan and all of his likes, and they are now coming to face a second war. And for this, and I've already told you that my man of God has also spoken. God has spoken, the shrine has spoken, the gods have spoken, and I think it is only fair to believe that the treble ends here.
So you believe that we are not going to see the city?
I said it's a solo.
Wow. Well,
They
let
back the
me
solo.
take some few comments on our YouTube page before we sign out. And as always, we have streamed live from our YouTube channel, and then if you are listening to us on radio, we are also streaming live on radio Tadi 99.1 FM. Kojo Bako says that I like how you talk about football on the pitch. When you get to City, then your argument turns off into pitch arguments. Stay consistent. I think that he talks about Percy. Lauren says that, please, what has controversies got to do with how good a team is or how well a team plays? Sometimes, as analysts, our biases towards certain climbs could blind us too much. Kojo Hayford says that Barca winning the La Liga is miraculous. That's all. They will come back to the CL to smell pepper next season. PK Justice says that Carragher, he and Father Bernard, no difference. He told us Father Bernard is in the ranks of John Terry. Emmanuel Kweku says that, are you guys saying it's wrong to buy expensive players to win you whatever trophy you want? We are not saying it's wrong to
We're
buy
comparing the
expensive.
two.
We are comparing the two. And on this point, I want to thank all of you for watching us live on Sports 101 on YouTube, and then listening to us live also on radio on Tadi 99.1 FM. Tomorrow we go again from 7 to 9 p.m. on Sports 101, another sports roundup on Sports 101. Be sure to catch us live tomorrow from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's where we talk about all of the major sporting events that have happened over the weekend. Have a great weekend.